Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brent Brookhouse here. I am with the hottest free agent in wrestling, Ethan Page. Ethan, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Oh, this is a Better Boys Club. I didn't even name the show in the little mini intro there.
You know what? I'm so used to you screwing up the beginning of the podcast that it's okay.
Well, that's good. You know, I like to set expectations and then meet them. So, so I feel real good about that.
Good, you should. Consistency is key.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's being consistently inconsistent. So yeah, coming off a big weekend, and I think there were a lot of questions about your weekend. So
it was kind of eventful.
Yeah, let's launch into your weekend. We've got a ton of questions. So yeah, what was your weekend like?
So it started off on a Thursday, as does this week's, which is catching up to me. I'm kind of happy that I have Christmas week off. But anyway, so it started off on a Thursday in Minnesota for First Wrestling, which was a show that, man, every time I go to First Wrestling, it's an amazing experience because I don't know if it's their fans only watch First Wrestling or no wrestling at all. But people could walk out there, trip on their entrance, and they would assume that they just did a Canadian Destroyer. The reactions are incredible, and it's just such a fun atmosphere and vibe, and I always have a great time. So check them out. And I can also get my, hey, you should check out that new guy segment out of the way because I wrestled in a three-way dance against Jimmy Jacobs. He's not the new guy, don't worry. And a guy named Airwolf, who was fantastic.
All right. So how'd that match go?
I ended up victorious, which is not normal lately, but a pleasant surprise. The match was actually, I would have to say, my favorite of the weekend.
Nice.
Yeah. Just flowed very well. Three-ways are awkward sometimes, but the crowd loved it. It was a great experience. Like I said, First is great. And to wrestle someone pretty much brand new and to have your mind blown with how well they did, it was great. So Airwolf, check him out. He's a student of Eric Cannon's. Yeah, great guy. Great match. Jimmy Jacobs was on fire. And Ethan Page, down a couple pounds. I was doing some cool indie stuff because I'm all indie, baby.
How long's it been since you've worked in a match with Jimmy?
Well, since he got signed, I was his one of, if not his last.
All right.
Yeah, at AAW. I believe it's on YouTube for free. You should check it out. It was a bloody encounter, no disqualification or Street Fighter or whatever it was, but it was really good. Very proud of it.
Nice. And yeah, that was a free match of the week on the AAW YouTube. So
there you go. Look at that. Give him plugs. We're not even 5 minutes in. So that was Thursday night. That went well. The next night, flew out from Minnesota to Boston. From Boston, drove to whatever town I was in to wrestle for Chaotic Wrestling against another up-and-comer that I will give a shout-out to in the young guys you should pay attention to because one day they're going to be famous and make lots of money, part of the podcast. And his name is Josh Briggs, currently wrestling for Beyond Wrestling, Limitless Wrestling, and soon Alpha One Wrestling. Because I just incredible. Could not believe how new he was and great he was.
And he's a huge dude.
Yeah, I think 7 feet tall. People are saying that he's replacing Dijak, and like they both came from the same camp and, you know, same size, probably same move set. I mean, Josh Briggs hurt a little bit more than Dijak, but yeah, it was a great experience.
Awesome, and then followed that up with the Cage of Death, right?
Yes, the Death Cage. CZW. All right, what are these questions? What do people want to know? Hold on, let's get my match out of the way. I wrestled wrestled David Starr. Wrestling David Starr is always a good experience. David Starr was actually lined up to be on Another Way to Get Paid before all that stuff happened. Sorry, yawning at 8:30 p.m. Wow, this is the earliest we've ever recorded, and this is the most tired I've ever been. Anyways, so match went great. David Starr was great. Lost. That sucked. Lost the night before, too. That sucked. But loss aside, solid match. I think this is our third singles match. All different companies, too. We did Evolve, we did Limitless, and then now this. And I've liked them all a lot. So check it out on CZWstudios.com. Anyways, let's get to what people want to know, because I'm ready to talk about it.
They were all kind of variations on the same idea of the CZW crowd kind of being a little lackluster, which is something you talked about, I think, your last trip to CZW, that it was a weirdly dead crowd. And, Top Rope Tony on Twitter said that wanted your views on the crowd. They seemed flat through a lot of the matches. And there was a lot of stuff kind of along that similar line of thinking.
Well, okay, so three things I guess we could touch on from this show, and the crowd, one of them, the NWA stuff, and then the closing of the show. I assumed all the questions either pegged off one or all three of those.
Yeah, pretty much. And there's kind of a second part to it, but let's cover that first.
So the crowd. All right, so let's talk about the crowd. So I've been going this, I think, my third CZW show since fourth overall, but third in a row. And yeah, it's just been heartbreaking. I don't know if it's the venue. A lot of people are saying it's the venue. But the thing that sucks is Saturday was one of the bigger crowds that a lot of wrestlers are going to see in an entire year. And it seemed like nearly 1,000 people. If I had to guess, I would say 750. 750 people, and I could be wrong, it could be more. 750 people came to the show to not enjoy it.
Is it to not enjoy it, or is it to not enjoy anything except the kind of the deathmatch stuff?
Well, even so, I watched the show back yesterday while I was on the Stairmaster, because I'm a body guy, and I like to watch everything. So I watched the opening match, which was Matt Tremont and oh man, his name is escaping me, Jimmy Lloyd. And they had deathmatch stuff. They had the tacks, they had the nail board, they had the Coke can board. I mean, if you watch that and then you watch the Cage of Death, you'd think that they only came for the Cage of Death, not any other deathmatch stuff too. And the part that sucks, sure, like they were kind of quiet for my match, but so I don't want to doo-doo all over myself, but I'm not doing these like crazy athletic things. I'm more engaging, more aggressive. I pay attention to detail. I have to, because I can't do all the flips and stuff. But then there's this 4-way tag match that does absolutely every cool thing in wrestling to crickets.
Huh.
And it sucks because there's, like I said, almost 1,000 people there, and guys are literally doing incredibly dangerous stunts.
Yeah, I mean, it's really wild, and that was kind of a thing that Shane Strickland talked about. A lot of people were like, why would you even do the Cage of Death thing? You don't need to do that. But he chalked it up to wanting to show basically that he can do any style. But yeah, the whole CZW vibe is a little more dangerous.
Yo, that match though, damn, for real, that was the craziest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, I still haven't watched it, so
You have to, man. Brent, Jesus Christ. You do a goddamn podcast, Brent. If you're going to ask me questions about stuff, you should for sure check it out.
I'm planning on it. I'm just I'm a little behind this week. It's been a wild week. So
living a wild life over there. Can't even watch Cage of Death. What the hell?
So anyway, so yeah, you hit the crowd. You said the NWA stuff.
Yeah. So, what was the question about that? I just saw these skimming through.
I'd have to look real quick. Oh, geez, where'd it go? Either way, one thing to talk about while I look for that specific question is one of the questions was, as a performer, what is kind of your best avenue to win over a crowd that isn't into the show overall?
Oh, geez, that's so hard because sometimes you can't, and it's not because... So, one of the most frowned upon phrases in wrestling is, the crowd sucked. And it's tough because there's the thought process of, okay, there's 1,000 people here. They came here to be entertained, so clearly the crowd doesn't suck. The wrestler sucks because these people want their money's worth. But then there's the instance of last weekend where when it came to the main event, they were going nuts. And there were still there's people coming up during intermission when they're setting up the cage saying how great my match was with David Starr. And I'm just thinking, I wish I felt that way. So it's so tough. But when it comes, for me, if I notice a crowd isn't really into something, I'll usually, if given the opportunity, use the microphone, change the structure of the match to be based more around either my character or action. It all depends on what the crowd wants. You should be able to figure it out within the first 5 minutes of your match, or if you're smart, watching the show if you're on later on.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't see any questions about the NWA. I don't know.
Whatever. We'll talk about it anyways. It's pretty topical. So, the NWA World Championship was defended at Cage of Death this weekend, and it actually ended in a title change, which very interesting. And a lot of people were talking about it because of the negative reaction it got by the live crowd.
Yeah, I saw a clip of the end of the match. I think the NWA put it out, and it was like an NWA World Championship title change with zero reaction.
Right, yeah. And, so I understand all sides of this. I understand DJ Hyde wanting to have the NWA as a part of CZW's biggest show. Because there's a lineage to it. There's prestige. There's buzz right now for the 10 pounds of gold videos. So it's like bringing a different act from the circus.
Yeah, and it's also for the rest of time, you can say, at a CZW show, the NWA title changed hands.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that. You're part of that lineage now. No matter what, they can never take that away. But you need to also know your audience. And that is not for your audience.
Yeah, I mean, especially who was in it. I'm wondering if it would have been better to have a CZW guy, just lose to Tim Storm there instead of doing the title change. At least then.
Oh, I would have loved that. And I think the best bet would have been to, if you actually go back and watch the segment. Have you seen that? Oh, no, you didn't watch any of it. Oh, my God, no, Brent.
But
oh, my God, Brent.
I know what happened.
Do your job, Brent. Do your effing job.
I know what happened. I know who came out. I mean...
Yeah, and I don't want to toot my own horn. I think that the interaction with myself and Tim Storm got a lot of traction. and they're to a point where they were telling him to take the suit off so we could wrestle. And then I Monday Night Raw'd him and said, "Not right now, not right here." And they booed. And it was like, oh wow, they're actually into this, which led to absolutely nothing because I didn't end up wrestling Tim Storm that night, and he lost the title. So whatever kind of,
if there was any interest built up, it's
gone.
Pointless. Yeah,
which was a big. So there was a moment during the day when all of the stuff was told to what we were doing, right? And I wanted to pull myself from the segment and tell them that I wasn't interested in being a part of it because I thought it was stupid for me to go out there, talk trash, build to this match that I knew would never happen. And then I thought, well, a lot of people are watching these videos, and the way the crowd is, there's a little insight as to how psychopathic Ethan Page is. And obsessive. After the first match, I realized the crowd was kind of So I thought, instead of going into my match cold, I would use this opportunity with the NWA thing to be on a live mic in front of this crowd before I get to wrestle. So I have the opportunity to either make them laugh, mad, entertain them, some sort of impression on nearly 1,000 people. Then when I came out later, it wasn't cold. They had interaction with me already, and they were either excited to boo me or excited to see me, whichever either way, and it gave me the upper leg for my match. If it was strictly on a booking end, I would have 100% said I wanted nothing to do with the segment.
Right. Yeah, I can see that, and I mean,
it just does nothing for nobody.
Yeah, and I mean, do you think that the idea was, okay, we're going to have a match between two guys that nobody in the crowd cares about, and that's not a shot at either of the guys, but, you know, nobody at CZW is dying to see Tim Storm and Nick Aldis. Like, that's just not a thing.
Right.
Do you think that the idea was, let's get some of our bigger names, our regulars out there to make it seem like, oh, if these guys care about the title, then you should too?
I mean, that might have been their thought process. Like, maybe that was the way NWA or whatever, Billy and Lagana, maybe that's the way they thought in their minds it would benefit them, is having all these. But Matt Tremont did that so well that, like, so Matt Tremont was the lead-in for me. So Matt Tremont called him out. Tim Storm comes out. They have a little back and forth, and Tremont put him over and put the segment and the title over so big, people were like, "Oh, okay, we're into this." Then I trailed out, and I was the douchey idiot, and they were super into it. And I don't know where it got derailed. I'm assuming when Austin Idol came out. And when he was on the mic, no one could understand a thing he said. And then when Nick Aldis was on the mic, no one could hear anything on the PA system. So people didn't even know that a match got announced.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if it was the way they were holding the mic, or they're not good with, like, being able to hear how it sounds on the PA to adjust them. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm still curious what they're doing with the NWA, the whole thing, because there are so many prominent guys that people want to see. And again, I'm not trying to sound like I'm like shitting on Nick or Tim, but God, there are people that want to be involved that crowds would care a whole lot more about. So I'm a little lost on the NWA plan right now.
Well, I did hear, I don't know if David Starr's going to be upset I'm saying this, but I think David Starr got brought up to wrestle Tim Storm, and they said that he was too small and they needed someone bigger. So I assume it has to do with, I guess they're going for that legitimate NWA classic pro wrestler, like a 80s style body.
God, I hope not, because that's so out of touch with what crowds want now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's interesting because what they've been doing so far has been working as far as like getting people's attention. Like, people are watching the videos.
Yeah, the videos are great.
And right now, that's all they are is a YouTube content promotion, and they're using other people's companies to host matches, so they have actual footage and action and results. But if they're looking to fill a roster, I mean, there's not a lot of guys like that around.
Yeah, and
sorry, I shouldn't say that, because there are, but I mean, there's not a lot of guys like that around on a high level that are doing this every weekend with a name.
Right, and yeah, and I think you can still be successful doing the really well-produced videos and, you know, kind of being that YouTube, you know, content machine for the time being, but do it with something that feels bigger to the audience, because I don't think that anything they've done, the videos make things feel like they're going to be big, and then it just feels really flat.
Well, that I'm very interested to see how they put the episode together that I'm featured in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, how do you spin that? And you have to think, too, because what's the perception of CZW to these people watching the videos? It's not the same fans. So to them, they see 1,000 people, the belt changing hands on another show. That could be perceived as very big for the NWA's audience, which is whoever's watching the YouTube videos. So on their end, it could be a huge success.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, one more question about CZW. This is kind of my thing. Is, okay, so you've been there these 3 times since, you know, recently, 3 trips. The crowd hasn't exactly been great. Is there a point where you say, like, I'd rather take any other booking than go back there? Or is it, you know, if they're paying the most, that's where I'm headed regardless?
Obviously, yeah, there is a point that it's, to me, not worth it, but it's mostly financial. So I don't mind quiet crowds. I'd rather stay busy, and there are really good fans there. And out of the 3 shows that weekend, CZW was my best merch night. So, like, as a business, I lean towards that more than my satisfaction.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, obviously that definitely crosses my mind. Also, can we talk about that ending of the Cage of Death with Nick Gage and Brett Lauderdale just showing up?
Yeah.
Okay, so what have you heard about that?
Really not very much. I mean, to be straight on what's been going on with my week, I've been working on a really big story. It's taken a ton of time. I can't get into it right now because legal's reviewing it, and it's a whole big thing. And I've been...
Whoa, legal?
Yeah.
What does it talk about?
I can't even get into that. I'm literally not supposed to talk about it right now.
I can't wait to talk about it off the air.
Yeah, absolutely.
And next week.
Yeah, next week for sure.
All right.
And then on top of that, you know, trying to grind and get that real job. I've got an interview lined up for tomorrow, so that has taken away from my wrestling watching for the week. I haven't even watched, you know, the standard WWE nonsense this week, so I'm way behind for the week.
Don't worry about it. It happens. Okay, so you didn't watch any videos on it? You didn't hear anything on Twitter about it?
Not really.
Man, that's so wild, because it consumed my life for the moments that it happened live. So usually I leave early at the end of CZW because it's a terrible drive home and it's full of deer and scary nonsense. So the less I have to drive a car half asleep, the better. So we leave early, but I decided to stay late because I'm a friend and supporter of Ricky Shane Page, and I wanted to see the Cage of Death. And Shane Saber was there with me as well. He debuted for CZW. He did great. So he wanted to see it too. So we watched the match. Match happens. Like I said earlier, absolutely bonkers. I'm going to give my view of this entire thing, and then we can go into detail of what has been said behind the scenes. So, match ends. I'm like, oh, cool, let's go pack our bags. And then I hear someone on the microphone, and I go, that's not Ricky. I look down, and Nick Gage is in the cage.
Oh, shit, that's right. I saw Nick talking about CZW pulling down some footage from YouTube. So that's the extent of what I know.
So I look, and I go, oh, this is cool. Nick Gage is here? And everyone goes, what? No, he's not. This is no. This is not supposed to be happening. And I look. I forget who was standing beside me. I think MJF. And I go, are these idiots trying to work me? Like I'm on the show. I was offended. I was like, come on, guys. Like, really? So then all of a sudden, people start running to the cage to get DJ Hyde's in there in a tank top. And Ricky Shane Page pushing him back, covering him in his blood, like, hey, relax, it's not. And Brett Lauderdale is in the ring, fanning GCW flyers to everyone that he can. Crowd is now chanting GCW at the end of Cage of Death.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, wow, this is either the coolest thing ever or someone's about to get in a fight. And then I start thinking, if I was DJ, I'm surprised he hasn't swung at Brett Lauderdale. I mean, I would never swing at Nick Gage, but you know what I'm saying. And then I'm thinking, wait, Nick Gage just got out of jail, so I don't think he would do anything that would get him in trouble. But also, is this real? So now I'm asking everyone, like, hey, what the hell? And then all of a sudden, this lady comes by, and she goes, oh, my God, I can't believe this is happening. And she's crying, and I go, huh? Who is this? Someone goes, oh, that's DJ Hyde's wife. So now DJ Hyde's wife is in tears, shaking, saying she feels sick to her stomach because she knows for a fact this is not part of the show.
Damn.
Yeah, so and that was like Bird's Nest or wherever I was, like in the stands or balcony watching, and I was like, holy crap, this is either it's real to some people or real to everybody. Then I find out that one of the producers of the show gave the okay, and the other two producers, DJ included, didn't know anything about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, like I said, all I saw was Gage on Twitter talking about, in his usual kind way of delivering such messages, talking about CZW filing YouTube copyright claims on some of the GCW videos. So
I mean, I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but I heard that Twitter account isn't run by Nick Gage.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Right? Isn't it? That broke my heart too.
Yeah, that makes me legitimately sad.
Yeah, that's what I heard. But I mean, who knows?
Well, MDK, so.
Yeah, well, let's not do that.
I'm far too lazy. All right, so let's burn through some of these questions here.
Sure, yeah, let's do it. I literally just talked forever.
That's all right. That's what the people are here for. Petty Confetti at Call Me Nakia. If you could bring back any dead territory or fed, what would it be?
Oh man, if I could bring anyone back.
It's so tough because, like, do I get to have their roster back? Like, or am I just bringing back, like, hey, like, the NWA? Like, am I just throwing out a name, or am I?
No,
am I time warping like my favorite 80s territory because, yeah, I'll take Mid-South back.
No, man, that's tough because I think anything that had TV that could have TV again and give people a place to work would be great. Maybe like Wrestling Society X.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Let's use that. With the possible Fox Disney deal, which actors would you like to see play the Fantastic Four in the MCU?
Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah, that's really impossible, and I'm terrible at casting questions. So, like, real bad.
Yeah, but let's give it a shot. Imagine George Clooney as Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, I could see it. God, Sue Storm is just like,
She'd have to be older too.
right. And I'm definitely like cheating and like trying to click through like ideas here.
Oh man, okay, so now I guess the biggest one would be Human Torch. Who would play Human Torch? He'd have to be like really. You know who would be a great Human Torch? And I do not care what anyone says. Zac Efron.
Oh, yeah. I can see that. He's got the kind of
Like
cocky,
cocky, quick wit. Yo, I put me in Hollywood. Zac Efron would be a great Human Torch. Someone do the art for that. Let's start some rumors.
You heard it here first.
Man, okay. So George Clooney, Zac Efron. Oh man, this is tough.
Got Ben Grimm out there just...
I mean, I guess that's just a voice, really.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part. Although you're probably gonna... Assuming that they did any sort of flashback, then you're gonna need an actual actor. Or if you want to be able to play with the finding a cure thing at some point.
Okay, so Sue Storm. You got anyone?
Sue Storm, I'm not sure about. I like the suggestion of Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Ben Grimm, though.
Ooh, okay.
So, yeah, Sue Storm is just it. I don't know. Whew. I feel like we're just gonna sit here.
Yeah, you're right. All right, there you go. You got at least 2 good suggestions.
All right. Let's see. William Fitzpatrick, rather, said hearing a history of Ontario wrestling from the eyes of a wrestler might be interesting since I don't know a lot about it being from the USA.
I'm going to tell you right now, it is not interesting. And there's not a whole lot that goes on in Ontario, and that's why I started up Alpha One.
All right, that's a fair enough answer. Let's see. Wade Buswell sent in a lot, so let's burn through Wade's here real quick.
Sure.
What do you look forward to most in the holidays, the family dinners or the mystery of what to get for a Secret Santa?
You know, I love the family dinners because I travel so much that it's great to actually be able to spend time with them. And I am excited for Christmas this year like I was when I was a child, which is very rare. I was telling my wife today, this is getting real personal. I was telling my wife today that like the last couple of years, it's kind of just been like, whatever, it's Christmas, let's just get through it. But this year, I don't know if it's because she's pregnant or because I've been traveling so much that I actually get to stay home, or because I'm on a diet and I look forward to not being on a diet. I'm just really excited for Christmas. So I would say giving gifts and seeing family. Those are my 2 favorite things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it gets so much better once you have a kid, man.
Oh, I can't wait. That is I'm more excited next year than this year.
Yeah, that's like the absolute thing I'm looking most forward to is the Christmas morning with the kid thing. That is a blast.
Okay.
On the Christmas dinner front, turkey or ham for the Christmas dinner?
Oh, turkey. Who the hell does ham?
My great grandma used to do ham.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like that's pretty old school, no?
Yeah, we always do a prime rib, so
Ooh.
yeah, gets pretty good there. All right, continuing on with Wade's questions, what match on the Indies would you say was match of the year?
This year?
Yeah.
Ethan Page versus Darby Allin, WrestleMania weekend.
All right.
Imagine. No. Oh man.
I mean, what? I will give you this. That is up there on my list because I like matches that are like, A, if I was there, it makes it a little better, and B, like something that goes out of the ordinary, like indie dream match. So like that's probably one of my top 3 personal favorite like matches to have been there for because it was wild, except that I had to throw out a pair of shoes because I got Darby's blood all over him. But it's stuff like that and Jimmy Lloyd and Nick Gage against the Faces of Fear at the Black Label Pro show.
Yeah, that was wild.
That was amazing. So that's the kind of stuff that I like end up thinking back on, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna remember that more than like just some indie match I saw that was really fun or really good. I mean, like I prefer the fun.
Yeah, I agree. Something that leaves you with a lasting memory.
Right.
But I will say, and if you listen to the podcast, you know I don't really watch wrestling that much, so this is a very tough question for me. But I have to watch all the Alpha One stuff because I edit it, and I really want to give props to Kobe Durst versus Josh Alexander from a show we had in Oshawa. I believe it was at the King of Hearts. So if you can go out of your way to check that out, I really suggest you do.
All right, that's good. God, was the I still need to see it. I haven't seen Kingston and Alexander, and that's probably that's the Alpha One match I most want to see, and I just haven't gotten to it yet.
You have to. You really do.
All right, let's see. Wade's next question. When do you think Josh Alexander will get a 60-minute Iron Man match?
I don't know. Whenever he asks me, I'm sure I can make that happen.
Coolest memorabilia you guys own?
I'll let you go first.
I'm assuming it doesn't have to be wrestling memorabilia. I will say the personalized autographed boxing glove from Muhammad Ali.
What?
I have met Muhammad Ali 3 times in my life.
Okay, why are we talking about this?
Why aren't we talking about it?
Yeah.
Okay, so as a kid it was 3rd grade, I think, our high school opened a new gym. So that was like a big thing in the area, and Ali had a house in the area. So they had him come to the gym opening, and he was like the guest of honor or whatever. So the first time I met him was as a kid. We had these little like paper bears that you would get if you were well behaved, and you could enter them for like prizes. But then they also had a second box you could put them in if you wanted to meet Muhammad Ali. And I grew up with a grandpa who loved boxing, told me about boxing. It's why I got into writing about boxing, which became writing about MMA, which became writing about pro wrestling. So I was determined to meet him. So in 3rd grade, I met him for the first time. I, for whatever reason, didn't get a chance to get his autograph, but a close family friend was his plumber. So this guy would go over and do work at Ali's house. And Ali would sit him down and make him watch magic tricks. And then he was like, hey, by the way, I know this little kid who looks up to you and met you but didn't get your autograph. So he went and got a boxing glove and signed it for me.
Wow.
I met him another time just through chance, but then flying down to Florida for my dad's wedding when he got remarried, flying from South Bend to... I was going to Panama City, but we stopped over in Atlanta, and he had, like I said, a house in this area, and he had a house in Atlanta, and I just happened to sit next to him for the whole plane ride. Let's see. I tried to not be like a huge like idiot because people were spending the whole flight like walking up and bugging him. So I tried to just, act cool. So I was sitting there reading, and he taps my shoulder, asks to see the book, takes my book from me, looks at the back, reads it, then pulls my bookmark out and hands me my book back, and just like smiled.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like the best dick move that's ever happened. Then he stood in the aisle of the plane and did magic tricks for like 30 minutes.
Come on.
Yeah.
He's a showman.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Like, he didn't, at that point, he couldn't really speak well, so he like didn't talk the whole flight, but like, obviously nobody's taking their eyes off him. So that's my memorabilia choice.
I don't even know what I would say now. Nothing is as cool.
You gotta have something. You got a lot of stuff.
Oh man, I'm looking. My wife bought me the Star-Lord replica helmet.
All right, that's a good one.
That's definitely up there. Well, probably just because it's from her. Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right, there we go. Wait again. Any chance of anyone booking Willie Mack versus AC Romero?
Oh, that would be a good match.
Yeah. Then we touched on this a little bit. I think the last one he got in was thoughts on death matches.
I mean, it has its place. Every kind of wrestling has its place. Would I do them? Probably not. But they're entertaining.
So you're not looking to jump into Cage of Death next year or anything?
No.
So is like your preferred peak level of violence like the stuff that you did with Darby?
Probably, yeah. Like that was, yeah, I would say WWF hardcore.
Hey, you know what? The first time that you and I talked was a really short interview that we did for Flow Slam back in the day. I asked you a question there that you kayfabed me on because you thought that that's the kind of interview we were doing.
Oh, okay.
And now I want to ask you about it and get a straight answer.
Sure. So let me just tell you. So when we did that interview, it was in character because I thought it was to promote the show.
Which I get. I think the wires got crossed, and
yeah.
When I talked to Evolve, they were like, "Yeah, just talk to the guys; they'll do any kind of interview you want." So we went into that with some very different ideas of what we were doing, but it was okay. So you had a match with Darby where you had his hands handcuffed behind his back for a significant portion of that.
Yeah,
and like. Was that more nerve-wracking for you than anything else? Because it seems kind of ridiculous to deal with.
No, because like I know I'm safe, and I would never like there was ideas that he pitched that I absolutely turned down because I just didn't feel comfortable doing that to another human. But yeah, I think that everything we did was pretty epic. And it was a good mutual, like, putting it together.
All right, yeah. I just thought of that, and I wanted to get my answer finally.
Yeah, no, that match was. I'm very proud of that match.
All right, Pod Van Dam. What's your opinion on Kevin Smith movies?
They're freaking weird, but I do enjoy his podcast.
Which podcast? I think he has like 20.
Fat Man on Batman.
Okay, yeah. I'm with you there. Okay, let's see. Scrolling through. I feel like we burned through some of these real quick. Nick Cutler, a professional wrestler, asked, is the Bitter Boys Club accepting new members?
No.
No. Okay. It's closed. I think you can be a bitter boy if you're a bitter boy at heart.
Yeah, just don't do it on our podcast.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. We got a lot of these already covered. I'm scrolling here. Okay, here we go. You've stated that your Impact persona is completely divorced from Ego as a character, but would you have any interest in bringing it to the indies if it's a hit? With Impact's recent IP announcement, I'm assuming you at least could if you wanted to.
I mean, I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now with Impact, but obviously I would love for Ethan Page to show up.
Okay, but I think they're asking kind of the reverse. Like, if Chandler Park becomes, a total hit, would you ever take Chandler Park to the indies?
Yeah, I guess. Whatever is going to make me and my family the most money. Like, I'm not, my ego is not actually that big where I would refuse to do something that's successful for, like, my own creativity.
I don't know if it's good for business for you to say that your ego isn't that big.
Dude, the whole last episode was us talking about being good people.
That is true. But then this guy kind of continued. It's JBL's other boy at Cage Side Seats. Thank you again, Cage Side Seats, for bringing us a new home.
Thank you.
But JBL's other boy continued saying this would also mean you could use your eventual Abyss-like character as well. Really, this whole comment is about asking if getting an Abyss-style version of Chandler is what led you to sign. I mean, come on.
Well, I haven't signed anything, so.
All right, you haven't signed anything. That's right.
But I do like the idea of Chandler Park having an Abyss style character, and if that character was all ego, that would be sick.
That's kind of a wild idea. Yeah, so another one of the Park and Park videos went up, and seems like it got good response again. Hearing anything interesting about that or interesting feedback?
It's all positive, really.
Yeah, they're really fun.
Yeah, the editing is incredible. I'm very proud of them. Check them out. They're on the YouTube page for Impact Wrestling, so easy to find, easy to watch. Let me know. Let us know what you think.
And I guess, are you... do you know what's coming week to week? Like, what to expect to see on...
No, because we filmed it all in one day.
Right.
So I don't know what the F they're airing. Like, it could be another commercial this week, or I could actually show up. I have no idea. But I know it's like a sequence throughout. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm on every episode until whatever we filmed runs out.
Right. Impact is filming in Orlando in January. Can you say, have you been contacted about making those tapings?
I will not be there.
You will not be there.
I have previous engagements, but it does not mean that myself and Impact Wrestling have not been in the midst of discussion.
All right, right on. We are at the 50-minute mark, which is when I like to start pushing the let's wrap this up button.
Yeah, sounds great. Let's get the plugs.
Well, what do you got coming up this weekend, unless that's what you're covering in your plugs?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. This airs tomorrow. So tonight, Thursday night, I'm in California for Bar Wrestling. Check it out. They don't announce matches, which is kind of cool, but the event is called Christmas Story. Very excited.
Hey.
What?
I have to, because it came up because of your Bar Wrestling tweet the other day. When are you going to come back to PWG?
Oh, shut up. And it's nothing against PWG. They have great events. I understand the fandom. But that's not the epitome of somebody's career.
I had to. Continue.
Oh, my God. Been there, done that. I'm doing other things. So I'll be in California tomorrow. Friday, I will be in Chicago for Freelance Wrestling, defending the Southside World title against the professional Peter Avalon. So I actually go to California, then wrestle at California guy, Californian. I don't know what we would say. Cali dude.
And that's because MJF blew up his hand.
Yes, MJF broke his hand at Cage of Death. At least he didn't die. So that's Friday night. And then Saturday is just a travel day. And then Sunday I have a double shot. Alpha One Wrestling against Gregory Iron in Oshawa, Ontario, and then in Toronto. A very rare occasion. I don't actually wrestle in Toronto that much. It's the Monster Mafia back in action against the Fraternity for Greektown Wrestling. So I got 4 shows this weekend. Should be fun. A lot of traveling, a lot of wrestling, hopefully a lot of merchandise selling, which if you're not in an event, you can still support Ethan Page. Go to prowrestlingtees.com/Ethan Page. You can buy a t-shirt. But more importantly, what I really wanted to plug this week, since we're past the 50-minute mark and you like to wrap it up, Alpha One's Final Act is now available on DVD, MP4, and VOD on smartmarkvideo.com. I highly recommend you go out of your way to purchase said event, watch it, and let the Bitter Boys Club know what you think. And if you're skeptical about spending $12 on an MP4 or $15 on a DVD or $9.99 on a VOD, you can watch Alpha One for free, past events, obviously, like last year's Final Act 7, on powerbomb.tv if you use promo code ALPHA1, no space, no dash, ALPHA, the number 1, you get 20 days for free. So you can watch last year's Final Act, realize it's worth it, and buy Final Act 8. Trust me.
And make sure that you visit the good people at Cage Side Seats. Great wrestling news, all kinds of original content there, and they are our new home, so that is awesome. Make sure to give us a rating and a review if you can find the time on iTunes and Stitcher. That does tremendous things for our ranking, which gets us more listeners, which gets us the opportunity to land that Taco Bell sponsorship.
Exactly. I need it so bad.
All right, so I think we're good there. So yeah, I guess we will talk next week. I think we're good.
Yeah,
Did you cover everything?
I think.
All right, man. So yeah,
if not, we'll just talk about it next week.
Yeah, but I think our request for next week is going to be to reply to us on Twitter and let us know who your picks would be for a Fantastic Forecast in the MCU.
Oh, that would be sick. Yeah, do that.
So yeah, get those in. We'll talk about it next week. You all will have very good ideas that make my ideas look terrible.
Yeah.
All right, Ethan.
You didn't have any ideas.
I gave you Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
No, someone gave that to you.
I told you I was cheating.
Okay. Goodbye.
Yeah, later.